Ladies and gentlemen, Mollusk here, another Malifaux battle report to delight your eyes. 50 soul stones of 10 Thunders Lynch versus Collodi and his Nephilim. And this crew merges my favourite Malifaux denizens with my favourite master, so I think it's going to be fun. I won the right to choose deployment zone, and I'm lazy. I'm over this side and I don't want to move my stuff, so I choose first. I pick here, on the bottom table edge. And I mostly do this because I don't trust my opponent not to want to switch sides. And it's a really dumb thing to do because I need to know where he's setting up and counter that. And to make matters worse, I've given him the side that suits his crew much better than any other. It might also be worth pointing out that when you go first, as in are forced to deploy first, it's generally, I think, a better idea to keep your guys kind of bunched up and towards the centre, as that should generally make it harder for your opponent to make sure he can get good matchups, and then you can go off in whatever direction you need to. But what I've done is to spread the fuck out. So from left to right, I've got a marionette, a young Nephilim, Collodi, with fated Threads of Fate and Strum the Threads, Lilitu, with rapid growth because all I want to do is grow a young Nephilim into a mature Nephilim one day, the Brutal Effigy, a marionette, Mr. Graves, and his friend Lelu. Basically, I know where the snipers are going to be, and so I'm hiding behind the house. And my opponent doesn't disappoint me, so over here on the gangway, he's got the Hungering Darkness with recall training, Katanaka Sniper, Beckoner, Illuminated. And then over here by the outhouse, he's countering my Mr. Graves' Lelu formation with Jacob Lynch, with, of course, Endless Hunger, Work Up with the Hand, and Addict. Illuminated, Beckoner. So the plan is, move up through the house using it as cover. The plan is to try to make the marionettes go fast early on, move up, drop scheme markers, and then be in position to take the squat markers in the second turn. If they die, then there's conveniently placed scrap, and he's not shooting at my more valuable pieces. If he ignores them, then I'm scoring my strategy, and then I'll run them up and bog down the snipers. Lelu's going to chill out behind some cover, hopefully, and use her 4-inch engagement range to hold 2 markers at once, whilst luring the snipers into the waiting arms of my Nephilim. Collodi's job is to keep nice and central, giving everyone armour from his wooden claws and healing from the effigy, and turbo boosting the Nephilim into early combat. I really like Collodi's synergy with the young Nephilim particularly. Their biggest weakness in my view is actually their speed. Now I find they really need movement support pieces that can push or otherwise move them around to get them to where they need to be before they die. And Collodi can my-will them or just make them go fast. Their second weakness is that durability, and with armour and healing from the effigy, I like this team up quite a lot. The effigy is the good old effigy, but it's also going to be a troubleshooter, flipping squat markers for me or dropping more scheme markers so that I can use them as explosives, which I can set off as Lilitu pulls things towards her and the Nephilim are killing them. Collodi's second job is to assassinate Huggy. As soon as he peeks his head from cover, Collodi's going to barrage him with as much AP as he can muster, and it's not a bad amount of AP. Mr. Graves and Lelu are going to perform the other part of that scheme, which is Exterminate, which, in case you don't know, is the Neverborn generalist scheme that they can always choose to take. And my opponent had a new card deck and we couldn't resist putting them in play, and it means at the end of the game I have to have more masters and henchmen than my opponent does, which is a pretty dreadful scheme for Collodi because I find he has quite a weak assassinate game, and for my crew in particular because I've got no henchmen. But it was so nice and shiny and thematic I just couldn't resist. So Graves and Lelu were going to go up the flank, take this marker and then push off into beat up Lynch in whatever alley they can find him in. And conveniently he's coming to them. And I'm not under any illusions, these guys are going to struggle to get the job done. But that aside, it's only right now as I make the video that I notice we're somehow missing a squat marker. What the hell? Oh no. I set out the squat markers originally with my, I don't know, my blue bases or something. But Cogger insisted we use his special frickin' gold coin markers. Oh mate, I guess we missed one. Well, it's not really going to influence the game. But what are you going to do? Let's go into turn 1, a rather average hand. I black joker the initiative flip, and for once this actually matters because the snipers are now going to use me as target practice. This one over here goes, focuses and blasts my marionette, which means it now can't go fast. And that really sucks. So that means I need to get going and vacate the streets. I move the effigy first, so I'm trying not to block the doorway up. We get the Fear Not the Sword bubble for whatever good it's going to do, and then Collodi accomplices. setting off the armour bubble, my willing the marionette, and then moving into the house. And I'm not going to lie, I'm worried about that sniper drawing a bead on Lilithu. So let's skip ahead. My opponent has realised that Huggy Darkness could be a bit vulnerable over here on his own, so he's been beckoning it this way. This beckoner, which is now hiding behind this fence, has been beckoning up the Illuminated, which has then run up to here and placed the scheme marker, with Lynch moving up in support. How very daring of you, Mr. Lynch. And for my part, I've been moving my marionettes up, this one dropping my scheme marker. The other one couldn't go fast because Collodi moved away, so it's now out in the front lawn. And I've got one young Nephilim on the roof and one Nephilim here. The idea was that Lilithu moves into the house and beckoned this sniper off the gantry and into easy charge range, but my opponent's drawing like a boss, and I can't pull it off. Oh, and whilst I notice it, the Illuminated has moved up to here. So at this point, Mr. Graves has shown Lelu the door, and then moved up to be close to the squat marker for next turn. The Katanaka sniper has attacked him and hit a moderate with some rams, and he's taken some hefty damage. Oh, and I think Lynch moved up and shot him with his holdout pistol, doing moderate damage and putting some brilliance on him. I think that's what that counter means. Yes, he must have got the coated bullet trigger. So Mr. Graves is not looking too healthy. My last act is to push Lelu his 3 inches, allowing him to complete the charge against the Illuminated with his 2-inch melee range. Shame I couldn't get close enough to Black Blood, but it'll have to do. Sadly, I only managed to hit the Illuminated once because my opponent Red Joker's the defense, doing not much damage, but at least the poison will counter the regen. And that's how we end things turn 1. Turn 2, and I'm fairly sure I soulstone for cards every single round from now on. My opponent goes first, the Illuminated attacks Lelu, but Lelu survives. Lelu goes, pushing 3 inches through the gap, and within Black Blood range of 2 models, which is what I like. And I really scuffed his attacks up. He's got 5 damage left after the Illuminated had seen to him, so I should have gone with my Poison Claws and got the positive flip, but instead I go for the Vampiric Bite on the Beckoner. Succeeded, actually cheating down for the trigger, and only getting 1 damage healed. I then attack her with the claws, and if I hit her, I didn't do very much damage at all. But at least she's got poison. Concentrated fire from a sniper and the Illuminated, as well as the Black Joker, conspire to bring down one of my Nephilim. That's a sad day. Mr. Graves gets stuck in against the Illuminated, but my opponent outflips me again, and I do pathetic damage, if I hit at all. Collodi came out to play early, actually. Basically, he ran out of the building, personal puppeted the now dead Nephilim on the roof, did his armour bubble, which didn't save the Nephilim, and then attacked the activated sniper, and I got the My Bidding trigger off. So the idea was to make him jump off the roof, take a damage, and then cheat in the Red Joker to kill him, but I Black Jokered the damage clip. The other sniper shoots away. If I take any damage, it's only weak, and I've got my armour protecting me, and so I push away over here, which now puts me in range of my Nephilim, and a plan starts to form. So at this point my wounded marionettes moved up and claimed the squatter marker, and then the Hungry Darkness moved up and whispered its nasty secrets to make the marionette place a scheme marker. My opponent subsequently declared whatever it is, the plant explosives, scoring himself 3 points. Bugger. And to rub salt in the wound, he then moves into the impassable terrain house, which we figured the inside must be habitable, so now he's impervious to all harm. And it's at this point I realise that my opponent's got his 3 points for explosives, he's almost certainly going to get 3 points for his protect territory, and I am just not going to be able to get exterminate. So maxing out with the strategy and denying my opponent, I figure at this point is my only chance. So by this point my other marionette has moved up and claimed the other second squat marker, and then been beckoned off into the range of the Illuminated. Brutal effigies come out to play and made everyone fear not the sword. Lilithu, I think quite a bit earlier in the turn, decided to whisper in blood and then try to lure one of the snipers off because she can see them through the window, and again failed because he can't stop flipping kings. I should have used both actions for luring, but I thought he might try to shoot her through the window, so I wanted those positive flips to all jewels. Mistake in the end. Amusingly, the Beckoner hits Lelu for a moderate with her despicable promises, and my Lelu doesn't have eyes only for his sister, it seems. And I'm not ditching 2 cards, so it makes both of them brilliant, and I can't remove it because I'm too close to the Beckoner. So the last thing to do is to enact the plan. Being within 6 inches of Collodi means that my Nephilim can go fast. Taking 2 damage, it moves up and then uses 8-inch range to charge the sniper. Finally I managed to land 2 hits on one of Cog's models, healing my Nephilim thanks to Fear Not the Sword, but failing to kill the sniper because of its hard to kill. Seriously weird, it's got a gun, a sword and hard to kill. But because it's on its last wound now, if it attacks my Nephilim back, it's gonna die. Lynch goes and devastates Lelu because he's got 7 cards in his hand, and I guess he shouldn't have spent so much time at the casino to rack up those debts. But at least Lelu bleeds on everyone. I think Lynch then loses a duel with Mr. Graves and hurts himself, but he wins the next one and Mr. Graves is not looking healthy. But he also bleeds on the Illuminated, I think putting it on its last wound. At the end of the turn I score a point for the strategy. No one's brilliant anymore, and the second poison from Lelu finishes off the Illuminated, which was brilliant. We go into, turn 3? More soul stoning and the hand's getting a bit better. It's a good old Mexican standoff between Mr. Graves and Mr. Lynch, but my opponent's earning back karma from all those games we've had before, and he gets the initiative again, killing Mr. Graves with the bloody Beckoner, who made him brilliant before he died, and so she heals 3 points. Because the party just never ends. In retribution, I go with Collodi, making him fast, moving up, personal puppeting the Nephilim. I kill the sniper he's fighting and then hit the other one, my bidding it off the building to do a point of damage and putting it right next to my Nephilim. Can't remember if I armoured up or just failed to hit one of the dudes. The Nephilim easily takes down the last sniper. The Beckoner tried to kill the marionette but couldn't, but it made it brilliant. The FG's placed a scheme marker conveniently within 3 inches of the Illuminated, and suddenly terrified that Hungry Darkness is going to pop out and make my marionette reflip this squat marker, I move the marionette away and place the final marker, revealing plant explosives and going for the 2 points. Because at this point I was for some reason thinking I might not have got a better chance. At some point the Illuminated killed my final marionette and dropped a scheme marker of its own. So by the end of the turn, Lilitu's come out and failed to do anything, I think, but at least she's protecting both markers from the Illuminated. Hungry Darkness has popped out and lured my Nephilim over here, no doubt for some nefarious tricks next turn. And I've got to be honest, I don't know what Lynch is doing, he's just wandering around by himself. In the upkeep phase, I score another point for the scheme, and my opponent's starting to wonder what my other scheme is. He keeps looking at Exterminate and going, no, you can't have taken that, why would you have done that? But none of the others are really making any sense to him either. And I'm trying to throw him off by saying, well, I could easily get, line in the sand by activating Collodi in such a way, blah blah blah. But he's not falling for it, I can tell. I don't know what he thought I was going for in the end. Turn 4. My opponent gets the initiative, and this I think was the mistake. I've been telling him, Hungry Darkness comes out of that building, he's a dead Hungry Darkness. And it seems that Cog finds it hard to resist a challenge because he brings out the Hungry Darkness and flips the squat marker. He then does his evil whispers at my Nephilim to make it drop a scheme marker, and to be honest, I'm not sure why. My guess is he's just trying to plaster the board with markers so that he can guarantee his protect territory scheme. And this is an opportunity I just can't miss. The brutal effigy goes, moves up around here, makes Collodi fear not the sword. Collodi accomplices, and creeps up into range. Seriously, the person who designed that rule was a freaking genius. Obviously I went fast, and magical strings take hold of the tentacles, I guess, and the Hungry Darkness starts to beat itself in the unmentionables, and it's got a lot of unmentionables. I severe the first shot, slowing the bugger, and then I road Joker the damage on the second one, and he's soul stoning madly, but Huggy D is now on 1 wound remaining. And I miss the next 2 frickin' shots. Could not believe it. The Chrome Sperm lives. And now both our hands are pretty drained, and I can report that my opponent was actually drawing cards pretty well this game, as a nasty combination of Jacob Lynch's mulligan and the fact that he actually spent some considerable time shuffling his deck before the game, and luck is finally being kind to him. And this was just spastic, guys, there's not really another way to describe it. My hands make jerky motions over which I've got no control, and my Nephilim ends up walking next to Huggy D and then missing him because Cog's not out of Kings yet. I didn't charge because the only cards left in my hand are that 1 and 2 of Tomes, and I didn't want to risk being paralysed, so I moved into his engagement range and had to take the frickin' test anyway, but thankfully I made it. So later on, the Beckoner beckoned Lilitu up into the waiting arms of the Illuminated. She attacked it and did something like 1 damage before it tore her to shreds, and I'm a bit disappointed in her this game. I don't think I played her to her full potential. I'm making sure I claim as many squat markers as I can in case I somehow lose one. And I'm going to be honest, this wasn't my opponent's finest hour. He totally had me this game, but now it seems that Jacob is a bit confused about which side he's actually on. He drops a scheme marker to guarantee protect territory, and then does his pay for blood at the Nephilim. I actually win the first duel and considered cheating down, but I take a calculated risk and let Jacob whittle himself down some more. He then tries it again. With casting 8 it goes through. The Nephilim takes 2 damage and bleeds all over Huggy, who's forced to spend the last soul stone to keep himself alive. So with that I score another strategy point and we go on into the final turn. And finally, with some soul stoning, that's the kind of hand I'm looking for. And finally I get the initiative, and in a bit of a dick move, the brutal effigy goes, he walks up and he shoots the Nephilim in the back, doing 1 damage, and Huggy dies of demon aids. And of course Collodi now fears not the sword, all in a day's work for the effigy. Collodi accomplices and goes fast, and I've been running him into the ground a bit, so he's only got 4 damage left. I'm forced to move and then creep into range, leaving me with 3 actions, and Lynch has 6 wounds left and no soul stones. I refer you to my hand. Collodi's first shot makes Lynch shoot himself in the knee, slowing him down a bit, and I cheat a severe for 4 damage, taking 2 damage myself, but I'm healing 1 first for fear not the sword. I have to cheat to hit with the second cast, but I get it, and make Lynch kick himself in the teeth with his shattered leg, putting his lights out and leaving Collodi with 1 wound remaining. Can't quite believe the turn the game has just taken, but I've got 1 action left and run the fuck away before the Beckoner who hasn't gone can start doing her dirty little promises. Wouldn't want to suffer the same fate as Huggy. And I'm still a total noob, guys. I forget once again to draw a card for killing someone with Fear Not the Sword, but more importantly, I was taking damage and my personal puppet wasn't moving and flipping this marker. And suddenly I quite like Collodi against Lynch. I'll probably start even cheating on purpose, damaging the enemy master and getting moves for my Nephilim at the same time, yes please. So basically we finished the turn with the Illuminated flipping this squat marker, my Nephilim flipping that squat marker, the Beckoner scoring Protect Territory, and this Beckoner killing my marionette out of sheer spite. And there we go, the end of the game. Had absolutely brilliant fun playing this game. It always feels nice to go into something feeling you're going to lose, but then snatching a last minute victory, although I can't really take credit for it, because I deployed like a dumbass, took a stupid scheme and actually completely relied on my opponent screwing up. But well, it was great fun, and I really loved my crew. I took Nephilim Collodi thinking it would be a themey gimmick, but actually I think it could work, which makes me very excited to try out some more. So yeah, for this game, Cog scored 3 points for Plant Explosives, and 3 points for Protect Territory for 6, and I scored 4 points for Squatters' Rights, 2 points for Plant Explosives, and 2 points for Exterminate, making the game 8-6 to Collodi. It's a shame we failed to set up the Squatters' Rights markers properly, but I don't think the one we were missing would have had much impact on the way we played the game. But who really cares? We had a blast. And with that, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.